Cryptozoology. Quote, "The first piece, which is the most important, is that which comes within the souls of people when they realize their relationship, their oneness with the universe and all its powers, and when they realize at the center of the universe dwells the Great Spirit, and that this center is really everywhere. It is within each one of us." End quote. Black Elk, Sue Holyman. Cryptozoology is a term coined in the 1950s by a French zoologist named Bernard Hevelsman. It means literally the study of hidden or unknown animals. It is the study of such obscure creatures as the Australian Bunyip, or the more popularly recognized Bigfoot, Chupacabra, or the Loch Ness Monster. In the early 20th century, American writer Charles Fort started compiling great quantities of exhaustively documented and puzzling evidence. This is data which science is unable or unwilling to explain, such as rainstorms which dropped fish, frogs, mysterious animals, blood, or the discovery of manufactured artifacts in the deep strata. Charles Fort collected numerous accounts of aerial phenomenon prior to the invention of aviation, including descriptions of huge cylinders and spheres in the sky. Many of these today would be considered UFOs. Cryptozoology, or Fortean zoology, is the study of any kind of unexplained animal or monster. Such creatures or cryptids are unrecognized by mainstream scientific consensus, and thus their existence is considered unlikely. As such, cryptozoology is not a recognized scientific branch of zoology. Even in the 21st century, many assume there's nothing really new to discover on this large, diverse planet of ours. This assumption couldn't be further from the truth. There have been numerous sightings and encounters over the centuries of creatures that were either thought to have been extinct or were never properly identified. There are over 700 distinct species of butterflies on the island of New Guinea alone. Overlooked new creatures are identified all the time or are hypothesized to be living in the untamed vastness of areas such as the Amazon or other dense jungle regions, not to mention the deepest realms of the world's oceans. The Weiser Field Guide to Cryptozoology is a book that includes information, interviews, and stories about 40 different cryptids seen in various locations all over the world. Credible eyewitnesses include policemen, rangers, and doctors. Such creatures are known as anomalous biological entities, that is ABEs. Readers will learn where and how to find flying Mothmen, hairy humanoids, and odd creatures of all kinds, including giant rabbits, bats, and spiders. The guide also tells the reader where to find the perennial favorites, such as goblins, vampires, werewolves, demons, and even aliens. The author, Dina West Budd, surveys the still emerging field of cryptozoology, always on the lookout for animals not recognized in standard zoology. The list includes traditional cryptids like Bigfoot, the Abominable Snowman, and Nessie, mythical cryptids like unicorns, vampires, dragons, and werewolves, lesser known cryptids like bunyips, the encantado or dolphin men of Brazil, thunderbirds, and chupacabra. These creatures are very much alive, declares Bud, even if they exist beyond the realm of normal perception. According to Jorg Martin, a Puerto Rican journalist who describes himself as a leading UFO researcher, the anomalous biological entity phenomenon can also be the product of a highly sophisticated genetic manipulations by ET or human agencies. Martin cites a Chinese-Russian scientist, Dr. Tsian Kanshen, who has produced genetic manipulations which have created new species of electronically crossed plant and animal organisms. Kanshen developed an electronic system whereby he can pick up the bioenergetic field of the DNA of living organisms and transfer it electronically to other living organisms. By this method, he has created incredible new breeds of ducks crossed with chickens, which include physical characteristics of both species. Goats and rabbits have been developed, along with new breeds of plants, such as corn and wheat, peanut mixed with sunflower seeds, and a cucumber cross with watermelons. These are produced by linking the genetic data of different living organisms contained in their bioenergetic fields by means of ultra-high frequency biological DNA cross-connecting. If the Russians have created this technology, then without doubt the US, led by biochemical engineering giant Monsanto and other industrialized nations, can do this as well. Therefore, according to Martin, it is quite possible that humans could have developed the chupacabras or other ABEs. Finally, it is important to note that legendary creatures played an important role in many ancient texts. The mythology of dragons, werewolves, unicorns, mermaids, giants, and other elusive creatures fall in the cryptozoology category. Sometimes they were symbols of the hermetic processes of alchemy. In other cases, they crop up in ancient accounts of natural history. There is little doubt that aspects of these creatures haunt our collective consciousness to this day. Out of hundreds of cryptozoology creatures reported and cataloged, the following are some of the most popularly spotted worldwide. Bigfoot. For decades across North America, eyewitnesses have occasionally sighted large, hairy, bipedal humanoids, most commonly called Bigfoot, because of their massive footprints they leave behind. The beast has been reported as far south as the swamp ape of the Louisiana Bayou, and as far north as the smelly Sasquatch in the Yukon Territory. This phantom creature is known by many names worldwide, depending on the region of the world where there are frequent sightings. In the Himalayas, it is called the abominable snowman, yeti, hairy ghost, or ancient devil. This massive beast is known as Mapinguari to certain Amazonian tribes, where descriptions match that of a giant sloth, thought to be extinct. The walking ape man is called Yowie in Australia. For the Pacific Northwest Native Americans, Sasquatch means wild man of the woods. In the Redwood Empire of Northern California, especially near Hoopa, California, legends of Bigfoot are abundant alongside souvenir shops sharing the same name. The myth has it that the Yeti, or abominable snowman, is a massive creature which inhabits the Himalayan region of Nepal and Tibet, where tales about Yetis have passed down through generations. Despite the thousands of Yeti that would seemingly need to exist for a breeding population, not a single body has ever been recovered. Not one beast has been killed by a hunter, struck dead by a speeding car, or found dead from natural causes. Only in some Himalayan monasteries do the monks claim they have Yeti skull caps. In the absence of hard evidence, like teeth or bones, support comes down to eyewitness sightings and ambiguous photos and films. Fossil remains found in the Himalayan region from the Pleistocene age of 2,500,000 years ago to 11,700 years ago reveal skeletons of creature called the Gigantopithecus, or great ape, which became extinct 300,000 years ago. Bigfoot is described as an ape-like cryptid that inhabits alpine forest regions and prefers complete solitude. These creatures are described as larger than humans, hairy from head to toe, humanoids who can also be cavern dwellers or live in inhospitable mountain environments. They are known to forage through mountainous or wooded areas in search of roots, berries, grasses, and nuts, which make up their vegetarian diet. They are believed to possess a heightened sensing ability, which allows them to steer clear of any human activities. They are more human than animal looking, according to some reports, although they are usually mistaken for animals, which has forced them to take up a largely nocturnal lifestyle. They have been often described as having a human face on an ape-like body. They are usually described as being up to 3 meters tall, while others may be smaller. Hairy humanoids, both large and smaller dwarf-like entities, have on some occasions been observed in connection with UFO encounters or trips into subterranean regions. Most Sasquatch apparently possess a human soul matrix. Sasquatch beasts have been known to attack humans only in self-defense, such as throwing large boulders to frighten away intruders. Sasquatch apparently have the ability to spontaneously induce invisibility, though producing an electromagnetic psychic shield around themselves, and are said to commute between our dimension and a fifth dimensional realm. Big cats of Oz. Big cats, such as cougars or black leopards, are said to be roaming the Western Australian outback, killing wildlife, pets, and livestock. However, there are no native big cats indigenous to Australia. Once again, no evidence has emerged that they exist in the outback, but there are many eyewitnesses. Attempted explanations include zoo or circus animals that have escaped, or possibly World War II era big cat mascots that arrived on American warships and escaped. Bunyips. Another Australian mystery is the Bunyip, a legendary spirit or creature identified by the Australian Aboriginal people as water horses. Bunyips haunt river, swamps, creeks, and billabongs. They cause nocturnal terror by eating people or animals that wander into their vicinity. They are renowned for their terrifying bellowing cries in the night and have been known to frighten Aborigines to the point where they would not approach any water source where a bunyip might be waiting to devour them. The bunyip is considered an evil or punishing spirit from the Aboriginal Dreamtime. Chupacabras. The chupacabra, which literally means the goat sucker in Spanish, is an animal unrecognized by science. Another variation on the name chupacabra means goat stalker, as this is one of its favorite meals. It is known to systematically slaughter animals in places like Puerto Rico, southern Florida, Nicaragua, Chile, and Mexico. A YouTube video emerged in April 2015 depicting a captured bald animal with massive claws biting to get out of a steel cage near Sarawak on the island of Borneo. The creature's name originated with the discovery of some dead goats in Puerto Rico with puncture wounds on their necks, their blood allegedly drained. According to UFO magazine, there have been more than 2,000 reported cases of animal mutilations in Puerto Rico attributed to the chupacabra. There is no consensus about what chupacabras might be, mainly because descriptions vary widely. According to eyewitness reports, those that do not look like conventional animals usually have no hair and are seen on 2 legs instead of 4. In addition, it appears to run on 2 hind legs, with the knees bent backward, not forward like on a human. It has the body of a slim, small child, not like a fat kangaroo, and is about 1 to 0.5 meters tall. In motion, the arms can be seen chugging back and forth like a person running. The head has a pointed chin and a pointed top at the back, like a rooster's comb. The hairless body looks gray or some other dark color. Monsters of the sea. In June 2011, a giant 22-meter sea monster was found washed up on a beach in Guangdong, China. According to local reports from the southeast of the country, the fish weighed an astonishing 4.5 tons. The beast from the deep was so badly decayed that it could not be identified. People have flocked from all over China to see the creature, despite the rotting corpse's foul stench. It was found tangled in ropes, and one theory is that a fisherman caught it but could not haul it aboard because it was too big. The Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster, affectionately known as Nessie, is the most famous aquatic lake monster in the world. It is said to inhabit an extremely deep Scottish lake near Inverness. Many sightings of the monster have been recorded, going back at least to St. Columba, the Irish monk who converted most of Scotland to Christianity in the 6th century AD. The modern legend of the Loch Ness Monster reignited in 1933 when its existence was first brought to the world's attention by George Spicer and his wife. They said they saw an unusual animal crossing the road in front of them, then descended into the lake. The next year, in 1934, Dr. Robert Kenneth Wilson, a London physician, allegedly photographed a plesiosaur-like beast with a long neck emerging out of the murky waters. The legendary beast of the deep is said to stalk the atmospheric Scottish Highlands, not only deep within the loch, but sometimes on land. The most frequent speculation surrounding the mythical creature asserts that it could be one of surviving clan of aquatic plesiosaurs, though this has never been proven. Countless subsequent searches of Loch Ness over the years, using sonar, submarines, and other high-tech approaches, have failed to conclusively prove that the monster exists. As a result, the Loch Ness Monster remains a modern-day myth, and sightings are often dismissed by the scientific community as wishful thinking. Mokele-mbembe. The Mokele-mbembe is an alleged surviving sauropod dinosaur now living in the Lukula swamp region of the Republic of Congo in Africa. Local pygmies who have given the creature its name reportedly have encountered it for centuries. Mokele-mbembe means, depending on your source, rainbow, or the one who stops the flow of rivers, or monstrous animal. The Mokele-mbembe is allegedly the size of an elephant with a very long reptilian neck and a thick tapered body with thick legs that leave distinctive footprints. The creature is said to be hairless or reddish brown, dark brown, or a dull gray with a long whip-like tail, 1.5 to 3 meters long. The creature apparently spends most of its time in the water, but the pygmies claim they have seen prints left on land of a 3-clawed foot. Reports of this creature have been circulating for the past 200 years, yet no one has photographed the creature or produced any physical evidence of its existence. Thunderbirds. The Thunderbird is a part of Native American mythology in the pre-contact tribes of the Pacific Northwest, in the Southwest, and Great Lakes region. These giant bird-like creatures were capable of generating lightning from their eyes and could cause thunderclaps by flapping their massive wings in the sky. There are countless sightings on record of the revered supernatural entity, or a huge bird fitting its description, both by Native American and the white man after contact. It is considered a supernatural bird of power and strength. It is especially important and richly depicted in the art, songs, and oral histories of many Pacific Northwest coast cultures, and is found depicted in various forms among the peoples of the American Southwest and the Great Plains. A recurring story among Native Americans features water spirits who lived in deep lakes doing battle with powerful thunderbirds in the sky, and in so doing, threw up the boulders and cliffs. The destruction was caused by the lightning bolts of aerial thunderbirds versus the spouts of the water spirits while fighting each other. The result of their squabbles are the many mythical and sacred landforms found across North America. More recently, a dozen or so black and white images on the internet depict 19th century hunters surrounding recently killed pterosaurs, the flying dinosaurs thought to have become extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period. Mothman. Mothman are largely subterranean, pterodactyl-like hominids with bat-like wings. Sometimes described as possessing horns, they are thus considered very similar to the traditional depiction of the devil, according to certain eyewitnesses who have encountered them. These human-like creatures with wings have also been referred to as the shikars, the pteroids, birdmen, and winged Draco. They have been called very intelligent and extremely malignant. Although often referred to as Mothman, this label might be a little misleading because the insects we know of as moths, are docile. Interestingly, in most primitive traditions around the world, snakes and dragons are ruthless killers, but also the creators of life and beings who impart power and knowledge. Mothmen have been most commonly encountered near known cave systems or underground bases. The most common locations for sightings have occurred near Montauk Point, Long Island, Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and Dulce, New Mexico. Beings matching the description of the winged Draco have been seen flying using their wings. This was reported in multiple sightings of Draco-like creatures in the town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, on which the Richard Gere film, The Mothman Prophecies, was based. The Alpha Draconian reptilian entity is an extraterrestrial race that is the most negative, destructive, and evil in their intent. These Draco extraterrestrials are human in shape and have reptile-like faces. They also have scales, which make their skin waterproof. They have 3 fingers with an opposing thumb. The moth is more like a slit. They average around 2 meters tall, but can reach 3 meters in height. They are well suited for space travel because they are able to hibernate. They are cold-blooded biologically, so they require a balanced environment to maintain their body temperature. Less is known about the Mothmen than their similar appearing brother race, Alpha Draconians. Among the latter, the soldier class, which do not have wings, can bury themselves in the ground and wait long periods of time in order to ambush an enemy. In an emergency, they can survive on one very large meal every few weeks. These reptilians have been interacting with Earth for a very long time. In their home system, they apparently also live underground, where they seem very well adapted to survive on nearly any planet in the universe. This reptilian species directs the efforts of the various working class gray species, which are only about 1 meter tall. The leaders of this species are called the Draco Prime. They are white in color and are the royalty or elite of the group. They are seen far less by humans in underground facilities during abduction experiences. The various colored Draco have wings, while the other Draco reptilians, lower on the hierarchy, seen more often by humans, do not. The wings are made of long, tiny bone spindles or ribs that protrude out of their backs. The ribs are adjoined by flaps of leathery, blackish-brown skin, and the wings are usually in a retracted position. The soldier class and the scientists of their race do not have wings. Dragons. Dragons are found in Greek mythology, as well as in documented historical accounts from ancient to medieval times. Legends and myths of dragons can be found in ancient Sumer, Babylon, Egypt, and especially in Far Eastern countries, most notably China. In his memoirs, Alexander the Great mentioned a dragon about 30 meters long that his soldiers witnessed while on their campaign inside India. The hissing creature was described as living in a cave and not friendly to people. Alexander was begged by the local residents not to kill the creature, and the soldiers obliged. The Macedonian army reported several other dragon encounters while on their historic campaign, but the men chose to leave the ferocious beasts alone as to not arouse their anger. In the foreword of the famed cryptozoologist Dr. Carl Schuker's 1995 book, Dragons, A Natural History, he wrote, quote, "In the world of fantastic animals, the dragon is unique. No other imaginary creature has appeared in such a rich variety of forms. It is as though there was once a whole family of different dragon species that really existed before they mysteriously became extinct. Indeed, as recently as the 17th century, scholars wrote of dragons as though they were scientific fact, their anatomy and natural history being recorded in painstaking detail. The naturalist Edward Topsell, for instance, writing in 1608, considered them to be reptilian and closely related to serpents. Topsell said, "There are diverse sorts of dragons, distinguished partly by their countries, partly by their quantity and magnitude, and partly by the different forms of their external parties. Unlike Shakespeare, who spoke of the dragon more feared than seen, Topsell was convinced that dragons had been observed by many people." End quote. In many ways, the above descriptions suggest that the dragons of lore were quite possibly the various colored Draco reptilian species, both with and without wings, which have been living underground here on Earth for the past 5,700 years. This would explain the popularity of dragon stories worldwide, living in caves and being slain by brave warrior humans over the centuries. The most popular account is St. George slaying the dragon, depicted in literally thousands of artistic renderings. Given the rumored Draco taste for animal or human flesh, it would stand to reason that they would come above ground on occasion to hunt for a few victims, and occasionally clash with humans. Skinwalker Ranch. Another possible explanation for the creatures in the Cryptozoology catalog may involve some kind of a gateway through various dimensions of the universe or through space-time. The most famous location for unusual sightings in the US is the Sherman Ranch, also called the Skinwalker Ranch, located on approximately 1.9 square kilometer property southeast of Ballard, Utah. It is the site of frequent paranormal and UFO-related activities. Its name is taken from the Skinwalker of Native American legend, which is an entity with supernatural abilities that can turn itself into any animal form it desires. Native American shaman also say they can do this, but they had to be wearing an animal pelt in order to transform into that animal form. Similar lore can be found in cultures throughout the world, and anthropologists often refer to it as shape-shifting. Both the Apache and the Hopi tribes in the southwestern states have folk traditions involving travel between different dimensions. The Skinwalker Ranch is off limits to the neighboring Ute tribe, who say, quote, "The ranch is in the path of the Skinwalker," end quote. The Skinwalker Ranch, located in West Uintah County, bordering the Ute Indian Reservation, is popularly dubbed as the, quote, "UFO Ranch," end quote, due to its verifiable 50-year history of odd events reported at the site. According to researchers, over 100 incidents have been documented, including vanishing and mutilated cattle, sightings of unidentified flying objects or orbs, large animals with piercing yellow eyes that were not injured when struck by bullets, and invisible objects emitting destructive magnetic fields. The ranch has been acquired by billionaire Robert Bigelow for the National Institute for Discovery Science, NIDS, to study anecdotal sightings of UFOs, Bigfoot-like creatures, crop circles, glowing orbs, and poltergeist activity reported by its former owners. Among the strangest of all the phenomenon is an occasionally seen large orange portal in the sky, which appears to open into another dimension. At night, blue sky can be seen through it, and black vehicles have been seen entering and leaving the portal. Huge humanoid creatures are seen using their arms to pull themselves out of the tunnel of light. The creatures deposit themselves on the ground and walk off into the darkness, and then the tunnel of light recedes and disappears. In addition to teleportation and magnetic anomalies, there also appears to be an intrusion of alternate realities. These parallel universes, or gateways to the higher dimensions, are connected to the orange portal. This portal, among a select few others reported worldwide, might be the pathway for cryptozoology creatures coming and going into our third dimensional reality.